Hey, Podnutzians, welcome to the Mini PC Show, episode 100. My name is Door-to-Door Geek. This show is brought to you not by ads, not by services that we don't actually believe in, but this show is brought to you tonight by Captain Zero via Patreon, patreon.com/minipc show. Thank you very much, Captain Zero, for all the support throughout the years and years and years and years. I am also being supported for years and years and years by Flying Rich. How's everything going, man?
Hey, buddy. I am freaking fantastic, and probably the best part of my life is doing this show with you. And I guess that's kind of a sad statement, huh? No, this is absolutely my favorite thing to do.
Well, I still think we need to work on something, because you should have something better than just hanging out on audio like this.
Well, what is better than hanging out with a fellow technophile and talking geek stuff?
Talking geek stuff and breaking systems at the same time.
I guess we could drink, and that would probably make it perfect. Drink and smoke cigars. Boy, that went downhill quick, huh?
I'm sorry. I forgot to send you the Hangout link. And
yeah,
I just sent
what
you...
I would hang out on.
You don't have your Chromebook?
Yeah, I got my Chromebook.
Oh, well, there you go. You can at least see that. And then you can see that I'm already partaking for you tonight.
Oh, darn you.
And this episode in the live, if you go, I try now to twitter.com/podnutz post when we go live. We also have a Discord server that I'm going to probably put in all the notes moving forward. And we have a Mattermost server, which is a very private place. I try to post there whenever we go live now. So if you want to hang out live, you can. Tonight we have Chatter with us, Red, and we have Rain hanging out with us. Thank you guys all for coming out. And I will say, Rich, it's been roughly a month since we did a show. I've had pneumonia. Oof. Well, let me rephrase that. I had a cough, which turned into bronchitis, which turned into pneumonia, and what they think was a partially collapsed left lung. So that's my excuse for not being here at least a week and a half to 2 weeks of it. But it has been a while.
Dang, that is not a good good way to go.
Well, I keep saying to other people, it could be a lot worse. It's pneumonia. This is 2019. They gave me what was called a Z-Pack for 4 days. After the fourth day, I didn't feel any better, so I went to my real, in air quotes, doctor. My real doctor said, throw the Z-Pack in the trash. And then they gave me antibiotics, steroids, and an inhaler. And it's been now six days since then, and I'm definitely feeling better.
Well, cool. Yeah, I think I have an issue with allergies. It's very mild, and then I get some congestion, which turns into an upper respiratory infection. So when I start feeling sore in the throat, I got to make sure I'm popping the Claritins. And I work for a medical organization, and I went to one of their walk-in clinics. It was $400 for them to take my temperature and tell me to go home. And yeah, it's nothing. We're not prescribing anything. I'm like, whoa. So now unless I'm in dire straits where I need to be stitched up, I'm not going to any of these places.
Well, yeah, I don't like going to clinics, but you got to do what you got to do. I have, without saying dumb, I have really good insurance, really good insurance. So I didn't have to really pay anything at all. But I'm really happy that when I do need people, to get them. My main goal was, and this is a tangent because I don't care. My main goal was to just get the infections down so my ear infection wouldn't spring up, because that's what seems to happen with me. And thankfully, no ear infection, because if there's two things I hate, it's ear infection and tooth infections, because there's nothing you can do about them except take meds or get extractions.
Yeah, when I was actively diving, like there's like a season I pretty much lost. I mean, I could do shallow dives, but I got, like an ear infection, I guess, and it took forever to go away.
Yeah, I can't go underwater more than like 6 or 8 feet because of my broken nose. But enough about health. This is not
It's not
health
old man
computing.
problems are us.
And this is mini PC show. And I will say there has been insane amounts of news in the last month. A lot of it has been enterprise focused or infrastructure focused, but there has been some genuine like mini PC type news as well. I'll just say, Rich, is there anything in the last month that as soon as you saw, you thought you wanted to talk about?
Huh. I got to look through the links because I've been trolling CNX
Well, then
and
that's a no. I'll say that. With me, there is one thing I absolutely insisted on talking about, and I hate to say it like this, it's because it's almost the three Podnutz shows I do combined into one link. And that is the Purism Librem 5 phone is out. It costs way too much money. And then they announced that there's a quote unquote American version of the phone, which made only in America, that literally costs $2,000.
all right.
$1,999.
So I'm rocking the Note 8. My wife just got the iPhone 11, not the super big one, whatever. Uh, I I'm saying, I mean, for her, whatever. That's her business. I don't want to spend $1,000 on my next phone, and that's why I'm hoping for the Pine phone to kick ass.
Right. I don't want to say, to me, I never will say I will try not to say forever, and I'll try to say never. What I will say, I cannot perceive how a $2,000 phone is worth the money. Pause. Okay. They have an article up that I'm not linking to just yet because I didn't read it fully yet because, I'm not really on board with this company yet because of here's a perfect example. The PC article says American-made Librem 5 phone costs $1,999, the same privacy and security focused Linux-based phone made in China that only costs $699. Okay. These are very, very crafted words. Security focused does not mean a secure phone. This is not a secure phone, period. And I would love someone from Librem to call me because I will hammer them harder than a soldier in some country back in the 60s doing really mean things to other people, because this is not a secure phone. Nothing about this phone is secure. It has closed source binary blobs running GPUs and CPUs. That's not secure. Okay. Now, in their article, they try to say the reason that they can charge $1,999 or $1,999 is because it's an upgradable phone.
But upgradable to what?
I take extreme and harsh criticism from them saying that until I actually see the thing being upgraded. Because I can't see anything in the phone being upgradable except maybe the screen or maybe the battery, and that is about it, except, of course, micro SD card. So to me, for them to charge $1,999, they are literally in the exact same camp as Apple charging $53,000 for a desktop computer. Librem meet Apple. Yes. Apple meet Librem. Go in a closet. Do whatever you want to do dirty to each other and have fun. I want nothing to do with either one of you.
And the progeny will look like the Cybertruck.
Yeah. But I had to bring it because I like talking about mini PCs, a phone's a mini computer. I like talking about Linux. The thing can run Linux. And I like talking about mobile computing, my Android app. So this literally is like, I should be all over this. I should be swooning all over this. I should be taking bribes, advertisements from everybody from GoDaddy to Better Health to all kinds of stupid things just to get the money to buy this thing, but I'm not, because I'm literally morally opposed to basically everything about this phone. And yet everybody I hear talking about it on everything from business podcast to Linux podcast will not stop praising it. And it just proves to me that the incredibly incompetent, ignorant nature of people doing podcasts out there is just that. They are unbelievably ignorant, and they just like riding waves, hoping that they're going to get like digital clicks or downloads, where I don't care. Stop listening. I don't care. Yeah, I can't see ever spending even $300 on this phone, to be honest, because I really honestly do not believe it's worth it. If everything in the phone is truly upgradable, you at least have my attention. But until you can run non-binary blobs from these third-party vendors, it is not a secure phone.
But I mean, I understand. See, I would rather have a super low-end phone like a Nokia brick that had no blobs than a smartphone without blobs. Because then I have a device that I know is secure. I guess, wait, let me take that back, because that's stupid. Because really, it's when you're running apps is what you want the security, right? Because if you're doing banking and whatever on your phone.
Right. Well, I'll say, here's a link in the YouTube chat, and I'll put a link. I'll try to put a link in the notes too. I will say this. Do not tell me, anybody listening to this show, that I heard about this on somebody else's podcast. No. If you go check the dates, I talked about this at least 2 weeks before any other podcast. And I can say that because I subscribe to now almost 170 podcasts. I talked about this before anybody else did, period, hard stop. KaiOS, KAIOS. This is a Linux-based, quote unquote, smartphone that you can buy right now from T-Mobile, AT&T, Boost Mobile. I want to say somebody else too. I can't remember. Which again has the opportunity to be secure, but it doesn't matter. I'll put it like this. It doesn't matter what you run after Ring 0. Ring 0 is the kernel. Anything after that, whether it is desktop, whether it is antenna firmware, whether it is applications, whether it's text messaging, nothing else matters if you don't have Ring 0 secure. There has been no Android device on the market for at least 5 years that has Ring 0 secure, to where it's completely private and secure. This KaiOS phone, I'm honestly not sure if it is secure, but I know it has it has more of an opportunity to be secure than Android. But I can't find anybody talking about getting root on this phone. So if I can find people getting root on this phone, then at least I would feel better about saying this phone can be secure. Serial pin. Serial 10. Sorry. Because yeah, I have heard since I first talked about this phone, I've heard at least 2 podcasts talk about this phone. Neither of them focus on the fact that this is a Linux operating system. They just focus on it isn't Android, it isn't iOS, and you can do a bunch of stuff on it, kind of thing. I would like there to be a more secure platform out there that is readily accessible, trusted by many, independently audited by third, and popular. But I hate to say it like this. I think we have to first come really close to losing all privacy before any percentage of the population makes privacy a priority.
Yeah, So it's kind of like I'm not doing anything wrong, so why do I care if they listen? But there's other problems. Like if you do banking on your phone, and maybe you got a phone from China with Chinese chipset, whatever, kind of like the whole 5G thing. that China was going to give everybody 5G hardware pretty much, which how can you trust it?
How can
Uh,
you not? How can you trust American hardware? How can you
all
trust
right.
Swedish hardware? How can you trust Brazilian hardware? How can you trust anybody's hardware?
Yes. Yeah, and good point on that. I guess that I didn't even think about that in the first place. But maybe it's just the CIA and FBI spying on me as opposed to the Chinese intelligence.
Well, first off, do you really think if the CIA and FBI are spying on you that they literally have exclusive access? Do you really think government employees are competent enough to do things in such a secure way that they're really the only ones with access?
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Well, I mean, look at Snowden. All the things that he leaked, in air quotes, leaked about all these exploits. Well, it turns out 80+% of them were actively being exploited by everybody, not just NSA, not just CIA, but everybody. Um, I hate to say it, the idea of being utterly private, utterly secure is almost a misnomer. The idea of trusting um, hardware with so many fingers in it doesn't matter if they're American fingers, Hong Kong fingers, Taiwanese fingers, Russian fingers, Finnish fingers, or anybody else.
Lady fingers.
Yeah, it's just too many people. You have to like subjectively pick what you want to be secure about and then decide where you want to share that part of your data. But there's certain amounts of freedom you have to relinquish if you want to use quote unquote any kind of a smart device, especially a smartphone. But yeah, I mean, I would love there to be more of a business model for less smart devices, but I'm also not foolish enough to hold my breath waiting for such a thing to happen. But yeah, I mean, I don't like it when people very purposely skew words to say privacy focused. Well, that's like a child predator saying, "Well, I'm trying not to break the law." But they're a child predator, which means they probably have broken the law. I don't care if you're trying to be security focused. That means nothing. That literally means nothing. That's like if I go into my doctor and he says, "Well, how do you think you've been doing on your diet?" Well, I've been trying to do really good.
Right.
But you know, last night I went to Friendly's and I got a Reese's Pieces sundae and ate the whole thing myself. Well, you're not trying very hard, you know. But I can say I'm trying. Say
Correct.
words like privacy focused to me, it just completely loses all power. But I digress. I forgot when I do this show, I always got to make sure that I highlight the records that we talk about and then drag them up into the notes to make sure that we get our notes accurately entailed. Now, I'll say the complete opposite side of the spectrum, the $2,000 phone, you already said it once, the Pine phone, pre-orders went out for the Braveheart edition, and I will not lie, I'm not sure what makes this edition of the phone the Braveheart edition, but I believe Braveheart is the developer edition of the phone.
Yeah, so in like I'm playing with my $20 4K action cam, which looks like it's 1K. I don't mind taking a risk on cheaper stuff. Like the Pine Watch, I'll buy one, and if it's no good, oh well. I'm out what, $20? And their phone, if it's, not so great, who cares? But if it is great, or, and I know they're not really making a lot of money on them either. So I do want to support them. I like what they're doing, and I want to support them.
Yeah, they're not making money, period. Honestly, I hate saying it like this because the people who listen to this show for a long time know, they should know. I really honestly, people, I respect what the Raspberry Pi Foundation has done. I respect where they came from. I really do respect their business acumen. I really do respect their community. I really do expect or respect the fact that they're not gouging everybody with price. But I'm not really a fan of what they're doing here recently. Now, the Pine people, they're not making any, there's no way they're making any money off this phone at all. They're not trying to make money. They're trying to become popular. They're doing the Raspberry Pi model of, if we sell this thing for 150 bucks, okay, we are going to sell 10 times the number versus if we sell it for 400 bucks. Even though it's not 10 times more expensive, they will sell 10 times the amount. And honestly, selling a phone for $149 enables me to literally buy 3 or 4 of them for my family in the place of one quote unquote normal phone. And without sounding dumb, if it's running true Linux, which is now, it's everywhere, it's in Azure, it's in Windows 10, it's in Server 2019, it's Red Hat, it's CentOS, it's Debian, it's the backbone of Android, it's everywhere. That also means that I can take my Android quote unquote looking phone, but it's actually a Linux phone, and actually write code on it to actually do stuff. I think the number of people who are going to participate in like what I'm going to call code rushes when this phone comes out, just to do things, to get things done, proof of concept, look what I can do on my phone, is going to be so insane. I truly believe in less than 3 years, this phone will be a true hacker's paradise type device. It isn't going to be the normal person or the straight person's phone for at least 5 or 7 years. But I can see in about 3 years, this phone being just a complete hacker's paradise.
And I think that you make a really good point there, that we really, how many apps do we really actually run on the phone? And even if they're an installed app, they're really just, a lot of them are just a web browser. You know, it's just a shell for a stripped down browser with limited controls. Because I would love to run my home automation apps on my phone. Or, you know, there's certain things like for controlling lights and stuff like that, as opposed to going to a website blah. I'd like to directly do that, and I'd like to write the code myself also, so my home is more secure.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm showing a graphic on CNX software, which is showing the Purism Librem 5 versus the Pine phone. And they're being very nice because the Purism Librem 5 they're showing is the one made in China, which is $699. The one made in the US is the $1,999 model with the exact same specs. But here's what I really want people to look at. $700, $1,900. Do you know what the actual, why the price difference is? I mean, the price difference is because people in America cost more to do the jobs, to do the same thing that other people on the other side of the world cost half as much to do. It's economy, it's economics, it's, dare I say, I don't want to say capitalism, but it's the free market. It's, I am much more willing to pay somebody on the other side of the world half as much money to do what I'm willing to do over here, and they're willing to do it, let them do it. Let them do it, kind of thing. And I'll just say with the Huawei and the 5G thing, Huawei has went through now 3 independent code audits. Nobody has found any malicious code ever being released by Huawei. So anybody can say they don't trust it, and that's fine. I don't trust a comet to not come through my roof. And you cannot say I'm wrong, because it could happen. A comet could come through my roof. There's nothing you can do about it or I can do about it. It could happen. One of the links I want to find in here, it's Huawei announced, and it's coming, the age of the Linux desktop is coming, but it's going to come roundabouts. It's going to come way of ARM. Huawei announced that they are releasing a ARM-based full-size ATX motherboard. And so the idea of a ARM quote-unquote desktop is going to be a real thing. It's going to probably take a year and a half to 2 years for it to remotely catch on. But I promise you this, we will have ARM computing in our houses in desktop type form factors, and we won't even know it.
Okay, so this, I'm just glancing through the specs to refresh my memory. So 4-core or 8-core, which is cool, but it depends. Are they the same core? Is it low speed and high speed, or is it like 8 really ripping cores? And I see, okay, that's memory speed. Where's the CPU speed? And I love my let's see, the Pine Rock 64 Pro, because it has a PCIe slot and I can plug stuff into it, which is really new to, at least to me, in the ARM world. So the idea of having a motherboard is kind of exciting. Next question is really price.
Well, I'll say they're planning on selling this, I'm sure, not to individuals, but instead to manufacturers. So we're never going to know the price. Right now, they're saying the low end model is 4 cores, the high end model is 8 cores, and they're saying to start 2.6, which in the ARM world, I'll just say this, means nothing. It means nothing because you have to take into consideration which V of the processor this is, and this is the V8 processor in the ARM world, which is, to be honest, a very good desktop area processor. And I'll say it all depends on the operating system. It all depends on the drivers running the operating system, blah, 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 blah. The real kicker is going to be if these people have any success, whether it be Chrome boxes, which I think are actually going to start to take off thanks to Stadia, Chromebooks, which we've seen a lot of success very quietly on Chromebooks with the RK3399 processor, but they don't call it the RK3399 processor on Chromebooks. They call it the OP1 processor for some reason. If they have any success with these Huawei ARM processors in a desktop form factor, that just opens the door wider for companies like Qualcomm to come out with desktop type processors. And if that happens, I can just tell you this, Intel, there was leaked documents today with their next 10 years of expectations of what they're going to do. They better hit each one of those marks if ARM is going to see success, because they're going to need to be competitive. I mean, like really competitive.
Well, so I always liked it. What made the PC clone market, the Intel hardware market, or initially we only had Intel CPUs, so I should say IBM clone, is that there was competition and that bred better products. I like that AMD is out there, because AMD keeps raising the bar, and that's pretty exciting. And now we have ARM being more than just a device. It's kind of inching its way into, I don't want to say desktop, but it's getting closer to being desktop ready. And I think that's pretty exciting. Because now we have competition. We have stuff that's cheaper priced. Look, the Chromebook I have, my high-end Chromebook, as I say, is $200 refurb unit, and I'm loving it. It's 15-inch touchscreen and backlit keyboard for $200. So yeah, this stuff is getting super cheap. Whereas, I'm comparing my $200 15-inch Chromebook to my $2,400 or $2,600 MacBook Pro from 2012, and the only thing I don't do is edit videos on the Chromebook, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, at a tenth of the price, I'm pretty happy.
Well, if your Chromebook ran Android apps, I would say you could do some video editing. It's not going to be desktop like, but you could.
Yeah, I'm not gonna start editing, because editing is a whole workflow process, and I don't want to learn something I'm not going to be using for a long time.
Gotcha. And I really wish, I'm really sorry, self, I'm sorry. I really wish I was more organized, okay? Because I would have the exact show number, I would have the exact article referenced, but I don't have either of that. But I'll tell you this. I hate to say this. I called this. I want to say it was in February when Linus Torvalds put out a rant. Now, for those who are uninitiated, first-time listeners, welcome. My name is Door Geek. I'm a nerd. Linus Torvalds is the creator of the Linux kernel. Linus Torvalds has nothing to do with the Linux desktop. He's the kernel guy. Linus Torvalds also invented Git, which is the #1 source repository for code and teams and everything, aka he's a really smart guy. Okay. He has been gingerly and yet viciously pushing people to do certain things in a very manipulative way, almost like he was good enough to be a United States politician. That level of manipulation. Okay. Back in February or March, he said, I want to say February, March, he said, hey people, do you know how stupid you are? The reason why x86 is winning is because you stupid people don't understand. Everyone who develops is developing on x86 and they're pushing to x86. I don't care if you have ARM-based processors. They're not going to win. You people are stupid. And what I think he was actually doing was he was actually challenging people to come out with end user hardware where you can literally code and develop on an ARM processor. Because if you can code and develop on an ARM processor, it's much more easy to then push your code to an ARM-based server. I believe he was basically challenging people. He was challenging hardware manufacturers, and it's taken about 6 months, but we're now starting to see literally ARM servers hitting the market in some large numbers. Those people also coming out with ARM-based desktops in at least a little bit of large numbers. ARM-based Chromebooks are starting to be a decent percentage of the Chromebooks. We also now have tablets that are getting ready to come out that are ARM-based, where you can run full-blown Linux. We're now going to have ARM phones that are running full-blown Linux. ARM has a chance to become the #1 coding platform, period. And when I say coding platform, I mean money. Lots and lots of stinking money can be made from it.
Well, in going along with that, when we talk about Intel, and there's many differences between Intel and ARM. ARM is a reduced instruction set. It's a RISC chip, and the thing that makes ARM good will be what makes it good for China, for consumers in China, for consumers in India, for consumers in countries where there isn't a lot of free money going around, or what should I say, free disposable income going around. And that'll probably be what drives us through the roof.
Yeah, it's just, I'll say this. It's always going to be good to have competition. I want x86 to be successful. I want x64 to be successful. I want the next Xbox Scorpio and PlayStation 5 and whatever the hell those hardcore gamers like. Make that an x86, x64 chip and make it cost a lot of money. And make Intel make a lot of money off that chip. That's fan-diddly-tastic. But I also want ARM to have its own niche and to be really, really, really popular and really successful. I will say there's been silent rumblings also about the dedicated, discrete Intel graphics card that's coming. And I hate to say this, but NVIDIA has been losing miserably for the last 3 or 4 months. AMD has been destroying NVIDIA. And I tell you right now, Intel is going to be poised in about 8 to 10 months to really completely own their sector of not high-end graphics, but high enough end graphics. Dare I say, like AAC and MP3, where MP3 is quote-unquote good enough for people. I think that's where the Intel graphics market is going to go. Oh, and the other thing I'm going to say is, have you been, how much, I love you, Rich. I know you're a storage, I don't want to say weenie because you're not a weenie, but you're always up on storage stuff. And is it me, or as micro SD cards and storage prices went literally like through the floor in the
All
last
right.
30 days.
So I have all of the links put together. I was hoping to get a video out today on, purchases this year I've made on Amazon and what I would recommend. And a bunch of them are micro SD cards. I just picked up a 512 micro SD for, oh gosh, was it like $63? I don't think that sale's still around. But I've got like a mental defect as far as storage. If a hard drive, it, and I usually buy at $120. So when the 8 terabyte hard drives were $120, I bought. The 10 terabyte hard drives are like 160, and when they get down to 120, I'll buy one. Have I done anything with the year-old 8 terabyte hard drive? No. And I still carry it around with me in case I'm going to use it. But yeah, storage is crazy cheap.
Yeah, and without sounding dumb, I do believe that's also something else that we called. We said back in, I want to say September-ish time frame, to just wait, that it was only going to get worse, cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. I also did hear this. Okay, Nutanix, nobody needs to know who they are. I'll just say this: they're making a lot of money selling $1 million boxes that go in server rooms. That's all you need to know. Okay, them and like the top 4 people selling what they call oh man, it's not hybrid, hypervisor solutions, are now selling solutions with
You're talking
petabytes,
hyper-converged.
hyperconvergence solutions that are selling petabytes and terabytes and all these kinds of insane amounts of storage, but they're not using well, they're not using spinning disk, they're not using SCSI, they're not using traditional SSDs. They're using NVMe near exclusively. Okay. And because of that, there's only 3 manufacturers in the world that make SSDs. One of them said, we're going to stop in the next 6 months making
Holy
any
crap.
SSDs. So the other 2 have just started reducing prices, trying to extinguish all of their stock. NVMe prices have also went down incredibly. NVMe drives are basically future hard drives that look more like RAM sticks with the teeth coming out of the side instead of the top. These things are so sickeningly fast. It is literally insane. If you can buy a computer that has NVMe support and you even get like a 64 gig NVMe drive, you'll be so happy because your computer will literally boot in like 3 seconds. And it's all because of these storage prices plummeting and plummeting fast. I know at the beginning of the year, Rich, micro SD cards, I want to say we were just dreaming about the terabyte micro SD card, to where now I believe it was the 1 terabyte came down to $300 in the last 30 days. And you could get, I want to say it was a 256 gig micro SD card for about $48.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and I think it was a Black Friday deal. I got a 512 for like $63 on Amazon.
Yeah, here you go. SanDisk 1 terabyte micro SD card drops to the lowest price ever. See, I love it when my memory actually works. It just proves to myself I haven't had that many concussions. On Android Police, 1 terabyte micro SD card drops to $300. And I will say this: days later, like 2 days later, I want to say it dropped even more. I want to say it dropped like another 20 or $30. We are in the like time of enlightenment as far as storage media is concerned. Our children and our children's children will, I think, not understand what it means to run out of disk space.
Right, right. And I'm kind of bumping up against that right now because my MacBook Pro is 256, and I've got the adapter. Let's see, it should be right here in the bag. That slides a micro SD card sideways into the SD card slot, and I'm going to be putting a 512 in there. I copied all my files off the 256 gig micro SD card, and I'm going to be putting it in there. And yeah, so then I'll have 750 gig on my MacBook Pro with spending what, $63. And like, all right, so probably $20 for the adapter card, and 63 for the 512 gig micro SD card.
Gotcha. Here's one link I just wanted to just mention, and I'll say it like this. This is on line 1070, Rich. Podnutz, period, has always tried to not talk about certain things. We try not to talk about religion because it doesn't matter. It starts wars and death and killing. We try not to talk about sex or gender because it offends everybody. We also try not to talk about political things because it doesn't matter what political stance you take to half the population, you're wrong. Okay. Now, with that said, this caught my eye, link 1070, and I'll just say it like this. What if people moving to ARM supercomputer infrastructures can get the same amount of work out of it, yet use much less heat, which we know is the case, much less energy, which we know is the case, and be just more efficient, which we know is the case, if you have proper code running on that system. So here's my pitch, Rich. I would like if more people would use ARM if the only reason, and if it makes them happy, is just because you're using less energy. You're quote unquote emitting less carbon, using less energy, less oil, less gas, less nuclear, less green, less whatever. If that's what gets people to use more ARM computing and that makes ARM computing more competitive, I'm all on board. If it kills pedophiles to use ARM computers, let's use ARM computers. I don't care. Let's just use ARM computers.
So I'm not going to say the carbon issue is one of my top 10 things, but for me, the first thing was running a Plex server, and I was running it on a retired Windows Vista machine. And between the noise and the heat and the electrical cost, I didn't want it running. And I wanted to do whatever I could to get it not to run, which pretty much more than just that is running on my o-droid XU4, which does have a little fan on it. But I could run that also on my o-droid N2, which has no fan. And there's, for me, yeah, the electric cost, the heat, and the noise is the big deal to me. Carbon, not so much. But yeah, the ability to, and that's a big deal, is cooling all of these data centers. The amount of power it requires, the backup power, the size of the generators you need. If you're using a good amount of power less, let's just say using 50% less power, that's 50% less heat, that's 50% less air conditioning. That means your backup generators that run your AC units have to be half the size. So that is a big deal.
Yeah, and that to me is the whole kicker, without sounding dumb. Oh man, okay, I'm going to quote, and I'm sorry everyone out there, I'm going to quote Milton Friedman, popular economist from the 70s. You have to make it politically profitable for politicians to make the right decisions. Okay, you have to make it profitable for people to make the right decisions. You can't expect people to make what you consider to be the right decisions just because you think they're the right decisions. Everybody casts themselves as the hero in their own telling of their own hero's journey story, okay? So we have to convince people why we think it's the right decision to make things. And if I have to tell a corporate executive, you're going to save money, you're going to be more efficient, you're going to generate less heat, oh, and you're going to be using this ARM processor at the same time, fine. I'll tell people that all day long. If it gets the point across that we're going to now have greater competition among ecosystems, because with more competition, we, the end users, we, the consumers, we, the citizens, benefit greatly.
Would I be bad if I go back about 10 minutes and talk about hyperconverged infrastructure because people might be asking about that?
Not at all, because I will say this. I kind of understand it, but I'm not sure I completely grok it.
Okay, so for those of us that work in the data center world, as opposed to, laptop PC, desktop PC world, in the data center, um, the server has a crazy amount of RAM. So some of our servers have a terabyte of RAM. They'll have, I don't know how many CPUs, like 48 CPUs on board. They'll have a boot drive, and that's just to boot the hypervisor. And then somewhere in the data center is a storage array. Now, that storage array could be spinning disks, SSDs, or as they call hybrid, some SSD, some spinning disk. And that's how typical data centers are in corporations. Now, what hyperconverged is basically it's like your desktop PC all over again. Basically, all of the memory, all of the drives, everything is in the box, but this is an enterprise level box with the ability to have a terabyte of RAM and 48 CPUs and all of that stuff. And there's a couple of different thought processes on it. And personally for me, I always thought it was good for maybe you're Hilton International, you have a data center, and you want to put one of these devices in each Hilton hotel, where you don't necessarily have a sysadmin, but they need to have local computing functionality in case the network ever goes down to handle reservations. And there's a bunch of different use cases for these boxes, but that's basically what it is.
Yeah, and it's like, I hate to say it, but like Leo Laporte stated years ago how we had way too much RAM versus what we actually needed. We had way too much processor versus what we actually needed. We had way too much hard drive versus what we actually needed. Thanks to our thirst, our insatiable thirst of power, of RAM, of storage, of everything else, we've driven down prices so far that quite literally enterprises can afford boxes with multiple terabytes of RAM, multiple petabytes of storage arrays, and like hundreds of Xeon processors, powers inside of one box, which allows us as enterprise administrators to orchestrate, is the word I can think of, orchestrate provisioning of data in almost not quite dynamic fashions, but in semi-dynamic fashions, to where when things need more power, well, we just give them more power. When things need more RAM, we just give them more RAM. When things need more storage, we complain and say no, but then we end up giving them more storage anyway, because that's how it works. And it's just a flexible solution to where you don't have to dedicate everything, and you have overhead. We have so much overhead now that we can literally have these dynamic systems living and breathing and changing upon the business need. It is really interesting, I'll say that. The changing of VMware virtual operating system infrastructure is going to take a while, but these hyperconvergent solutions to me are very eye-opening. And here's the thing: containerization, Docker, Kubernetes will come down to the desktop, to where in like 2 or 3 years, when your mother or your sister is on their Windows laptop and they go to install whatever, they're not going to download setup.exe. They're literally going to download a Dockerized container that they double click, and it's just going to quote unquote run. And that's thanks to things like hyperconvergence and everything else, lowering the barrier of entry of these kinds of complex solutions down to an easier level.
Yeah, and I don't know if I want to talk about Docker versus virtualization, but it's a lot of enterprises are looking to go to Docker because it's lighter weight. I'll just leave it at that, than virtualization.
Well, they can, but the thing is, we know virtualization will never go completely away. It will always have a use case, just like, tape backup always has a use case. It's just where will it be? When will it be? You'll just have tighter niches of when you use it.
And I guess the other thing when you talked about going away, virtualization, virtual infrastructure like VMware or other products, competing products, is a very mature product right now. Docker, Kubernetes, all of that is not as mature. There's still a lot of solutions that need to be produced out there to get them to the enterprise level, where it would displace, where it would disrupt the virtualization community.
Yeah, I'm a utter fan of disruption, and like here's a good example. The next link I have is link 1087, I believe, in the notes. And I have no problem being hypocritical. I have no problem admitting when I'm hypocritical because I am American. Hello. I am hypocritical. That's what I do. I'm an American. Okay. ASUS comes out with a Tinkerboard. I think to myself, what the hell are they doing? What the hell are they thinking? Why the hell would they do that? Lenovo comes out with a mini computer. I think this could be awesome. I love Lenovo. So Lenovo came out with a single board computer announcement that they say is going to rival the Raspberry Pi. Wait a minute, haven't we heard that like a dozen times before? It's $140 RK33 processor on this mobile computer that you can buy for $140.
And I believe that's the 2 gig of RAM version.
I do believe you're right.
Because if you click through the link, it says 140 to 257. So there is some version of this that you can buy for a stink load of money.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I got no problem eating crow and saying ASUS has put out a lot more updates and kept a lot more up to date than I thought they would with their Tinkerboard. Congratulations. I'm still not convinced I trust them as a company to have stick-to-itiveness is what I call it. Lenovo, I've never seen completely back off of something. I'll say that. They try a whole bunch of stuff and we'll see if it sticks. I will say this. I will say once again, the RK3399 processor, I have no problem in saying the modules, the drivers, we still haven't hit even 80% efficiency with this processor, and it still is more efficient than a lot of other boards out there. If Lenovo dedicates the right personnel, the right people to try to make this board really super efficient, we could see a lot more improvements with the RK3399 driver set is what I'll say. I'm happy again to see more competition. There's no way in hell I'm spending $140 for this board. Even if I could afford a Tesla Cybertruck, I'm still not paying $140 for this board, and I'm still not buying a Purism 5 phone.
Okay, I'm playing with the different configuration options. It looks like they're all 4 gigs of RAM, and it depends on what additional accessories you're getting with it. That seems to be. So for 140, you're getting heatsink and 10i and the cardboard box.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'm cool to see. I'm happy to see more people putting out boards. I'm not going to be the one who says, look, people, we're going to get too diluted. If we have too many choices, people ain't going to know what to buy, and then everyone's going to suffer. No, I want a billion choices to be out there because I'm a true believer the cream rises to the top, and as the cream rises to the top, it floods people and it drowns competitors to death. And natural selection is a good thing, and I'm perfectly okay with competitors dying, even if that competitor's Orange Pie or somebody else.
There's a sentence here I got a problem with. All right, first off, Mali T860 MP4, I have no idea. I don't know if that's crazy great or not so great. But it says it comes with 2 gig and 4 gigs of RAM option with 16 gig Oh, internal storage. Okay. All right. I thought it said external. I was getting worried about that. All right. It says internal storage with a micro SD card slot. I'm hoping that means it has internal and an additional micro SD slot.
Gotcha.
You know, there's like I got this action cam for 20 bucks. If it totally sucks, I really don't care. 140 bucks for one of these. I'm hoping it's really good. I'm and I got to think about Lenovo. I'm assuming they're not just effing around with it, that they're real serious.
Well, I mean, every company has to try things just because they never know what's going to take hold. No matter how smart of a infrastructure guy you have, no matter how smart of a chip guy you have, no matter how smart of a antenna guy you have, no matter how smart of a storage guy you have, no matter how smart of a disk format guy you have, nobody can predict the future. Hence the stock market. So they always got to try different things. I will say, I think we still have plenty of time, plenty of room for single board computers. We have so many use cases with these low powered devices to take, whether it be the edge computing kind of thing, the server kind of thing, the IoT kind of thing, the AWS kind of thing, the in your pocket kind of thing, the garage door kind of thing, the appliance kind of thing, the inside of a TV or monitor kind of thing, the game system kind of thing. I mean, there's so many different places these single board computers can be used. I want to see even more of them everywhere.
Okay, so another link says 16 gig eMMC flash, comma, micro SD card slot. So there are both.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I will say, like the side comment is, it's a Rutgers link, which I will say, I don't know how many times we've referenced a Rutgers link. Link 1090 in the notes, I believe. VentureBeat links to a Rutgers link, basically stating how Amazon Cloud is basically developing their own data center chip, which of course is an ARM chip. Here's what I know. Okay. Microsoft won JEDI. JEDI was the Joint Initiative Defense Infrastructure contract for $10 billion. Microsoft won it. Do you know why Microsoft won it? Because Microsoft should have won it. With that said, it's because Amazon, AWS, EC2, EC3 has not had a lot of innovation in the last couple years. And that's because they were so far ahead of everybody like 4 years ago. They were miles ahead of everybody a couple years ago, but they have not kept innovating. So I'm happy to see them now starting to innovate. With that said, I'm still not sure I'm a fan of Jeff, Mr. Musclebound, who's not comfortable with his marriage and getting divorced and shaving his head and getting musclebound and looking completely freakazoid kind of thing. I don't know if I'm a fan of his. With that said, I don't have a Amazon Prime anymore. I don't order anything from Amazon anymore. I don't want Amazon EC2 or EC3 to be insanely successful until I see Mr. Jeff doing things that are good for humanity, good for infrastructure, good for community, good for citizenship, good for ecosystems, good for country, good for areas, good for hemispheres or whatever. It's great that he's rich. Congratulations. It doesn't make him special.
So now this one talks about Graviton. I know there's Graviton 2. Is that and Graviton is the name of the chip?
Yeah, I believe it's a revision on that chip that they announced.
So this is something I'm assuming you would be able to buy ARM Cloud services, and that's how you would consume this. That it wouldn't be a product you would actually buy. That you would have a single board computer or ATX type computer.
Yeah, you would buy compute time on their platform. They would manage all of the interfacing and to that chip kind of thing. And their goal is basically maximize efficiency and offer you a discounted rate.
And realistically, if we're all running something like PHP, which is an interpreted language, it's a scripting language, which basically runs on any stinking thing, who cares whether you're ARM-based or Intel-based? It's only when you have plugins that are the binaries only for Intel that you have an issue. But for the most of it, if you're running, some sort of PHP stack, a LAMP stack of some sort, you don't care.
Right. And that's what I think they're hoping, is that people don't care what the back end is. All they care about is how easy is the front end to access and to program against, is what I think they're hoping for.
Okay, I'm looking in the notes here. Where is that Raspberry Pi NAS board?
I will say it should be more towards the bottom, just because it was more recent, and it was not a Raspberry Pi NAS board, just to let you know.
Oh, wait, it was Orange Pi, right?
I want to say it was a Rock based board, not a a Rock 64, which is not a Rock N4, which is not a Pine board whatsoever. I am blind as a bat, so I got to get close to the other computer screen to see. I could have swore I bookmarked it.
Yeah, unless we just shared it among ourselves. I'm looking at CNX software for it. Oh, here it is. So Rock Pi SATA hat for... Alright, so it's for the Rock Pi 4, not the Raspberry Pi 4. So just to confuse me, because sometimes I read quick and I don't read all the words. So this is a hat, and it sits on the 40-pin connector, and it has 4 SATA. So you could put 2.5-inch drives directly onto this board, or you get an extension cable and you run the 3.5-inch drives. I almost said 5.25. So they have a couple of cool images here, and there was a very cool looking case next to a Japanese Coca-Cola bottle. Which, I don't know if that's a 1-liter bottle in Japan. Or I'm assuming it's Japanese, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I have a link that I put in the YouTube chat. It's to radxa.com, which I believe is the actual manufacturer of the device.
Oh, wait a second. Stop the presses. I'm reading on the bottom. It says $25 quad SATA hat for Raspberry Pi 4/Rock Pi 4. So, $25. That's almost a must-have.
Well, I mean, if you're okay with using SATA, I believe it's going to be around May, if not August or September, where SATA prices are going to start to skyrocket through the roof because people will stop making them. So it's one of those things, it's time sensitive. So it could be the kind of thing, if it doesn't look like a good price, you buy now and then you just wait until SATA prices hit like what you consider to be the absolute rock bottom and then buy. I would honestly, if it holds 4 drives, I would buy 8 drives and just keep 4 on the side. So when drives fail, you can replace them. And yeah, it does say Raspberry Pi and Rock Pi 4, which when I first saw the link, I swore it didn't say Raspberry Pi. Yeah, and now say this. Because of the nature of these boards, that means anything, doesn't matter. Any operating system or any application, whether it be Open Media Vault or whether it be Nextcloud, or whether it be literally just a bunch of disk kind of array, you should be able to run with literally zero issues, zero concerns, or zero like hardships. It should be really easy to set up.
Okay, so I clicked through to the purchase site, and for 25 bucks, you can pre-order now. And it's a .cn address.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing that I do find interesting, but me personally, I'd rather buy a single USB disk, connect it to a single Raspberry Pi 4, and then literally buy another USB disk and another Raspberry Pi 4 and mirror them that way. I personally don't need, 20 terabytes of disk space. I don't think I need a terabyte of disk space, which I know makes me weird. So I don't know if I'm really the person who should be buying such a device.
So I'm getting all excited about this, and then I'm thinking about how are they connecting to SATA between the 40-pin connector, and I see it jumpers off the USB 3. So are we still at USB 3 speed, which is pretty damn good, but it's not SATA, say SATA 3 speed. SATA 3 is still faster.
Yeah, I don't see any mention of bus speed.
So, Dor, would I be bad if I mentioned something we should have done at the beginning of the show?
I can't answer that question. I do not have enough information.
We got an email from a user that was kind of nice.
Oh, yeah. Good.
I got to find it first.
Well, I'll first say we have at least 3 new Patreon people. One is Rain, aka Melon. The other one is John Hullinger. And then we have Jonas Rulio are 3 of our newest Patreon people. Thank you very much. I thought I did connect Patreon to actually charge people, but I might have not.
Yeah, I'm kind of funny with the Patreon that way. I actually have to go through and say, hey, bill these people for this. And I thought I had it. I wanted to be a $1 a month thing, like we've talked about in the past. It's like, hey, if you like something, pay $1 a month.
Right. And I will say, chatter in the YouTube chat said that the Pi Hat claims 803 megabits a second in RAID 0, which is faster than USB 2 speed, I'm pretty sure, but I do not believe it's even USB 3.0 speed, which I believe is 1,000. So 803. I mean, it ain't bad. Don't get me wrong. And realistically, how fast do you really expect a Raspberry Pi to be able to transmit data? I don't know. I mean, if you have a gigabit NIC, theoretically a gigabit speed, but you're never going to get a gigabit speed. So 803 might be a really fine speed.
Okay, I got the email. It is from Mark Marshall. And let's see. The subject is CrowPi. And he says, first of all, I want to say hello to everybody on the show. I started listening to Linux for the Rest of Us and started listening to several other podcasts on, I'm guessing he meant to say Podnutz, and maybe he did voice to text because it says Podnutz Network. So that's great. He's, consuming products on the network. The podcasts are a joy to listen to. I guess that means when you're talking. And let's see, listen to, and has helped me get through many of my work days, which I understand that completely. Lately, I have been catching up on the Mini PC show, and after listening to Steve, aka Door, and the rest of the cast, I guess I'm the rest, I decided to get a Raspberry Pi 4, 4 gigabyte, and then I stumbled across the CrowPi kit, which I have never seen this before, so that's very cool. I ended up purchasing the Raspberry Pi and the CrowPi kit. I can say, all I can say is wow. I'm happy that I made the purchase, and I love the Raspbian OS. I have been only using it a few hours, but I love it so far. The kit has arrived neatly and securely packaged, and Electro has done a great job, in my humble opinion, at delivering a functional as well put together solid device. I ended up putting 512 gig card. Oh, I didn't even know it took a card that big in the kit, and it will go into my device right now. I don't dislike Windows or Microsoft, but I love it being open and trying a new experience on different devices and OSs. I will definitely be purchasing several more of the mini PCs. And thanks to all of you, Dor, I have never met you in person, but I enjoy your knowledge and listening to your perspective on things. You all, including your family and loved ones, be blessed and be well. Very nice letter. Very cool device here. You took a look at the pictures, right?
Yeah, and I had a hard time like trying to comprehend how to describe this to listeners, except it's like the classic 70s briefcase that you open up, and when you open it up, it's literally a computer inside of it. I don't know if we've seen this kind of thing in the real world in America for I don't even know how long.
So if you brought it into grade school, your science teacher would think you had a bomb.
Yeah.
So the top is the screen, the bottom is stuff, and the first item of stuff in the back left corner is the Raspberry Pi. And then it looks like there's a small breadboard. There's some grid array display, like I don't know if that's like an 8x8 display, and then there's some like a 9 segment display. Is it 9 segment, 7 segment? 9 segment displays, and then there's a whole bunch of buttons. I see things. If I'm guessing, it looks like there's ultrasonic transducers. So it looks like a whole kitload of stuff. Which, if you're new to electronics, that could be a crazy amount of fun. And so he had to get a separate keyboard. So he's got one of those Logitech keyboards. I don't know if that came with the kit or not, but I rock a similar keyboard for all of my stuff. Actually, I'll hold it up. This is the Dor recommended keyboard.
That's fine when that's the K400 from Logitech. They do have 2 new versions since then. I will say the best thing about that keyboard is if you find it on sale, it's like $18. You will never spend a better $18 on a keyboard than that. And I'll say this, it has a dedicated dongle to connect from the keyboard to the computer. It's hard to get more secure than a dedicated dongle. Typically, when things have just Bluetooth connections to computers, it's not as secure, is what I'll say. This CrowPi, I am literally jealous. If Mark lived remotely close to me, I would have to go see this thing because of all the little nubs and lights and tweaker knobs in the base of this briefcase. This is, I would consider to be probably the most advanced educational computer you have, where somebody from literally grade school, 3rd or 4th grade, up to college level could probably find a use for it in some manner of speaking.
It breaks my heart. I don't know if I tossed it, but it was like a Radio Shack 99-in-1 kit, and it actually was a wooden box. You know, the bottom of it was a wooden box, so the top of it was a cardboard box with a picture printed on it. And yeah, boy, I'm kind of regretting getting rid of that.
Yeah, this is really cool. The website is Electro, ELECROW.com, where they have the complete list. Link will be in the notes. Here's basically everything as quick as I can. ABS plastic case, camera, 7-inch HDMI touchscreen, power circuit, LCD module, segment LED, vibration motor, matrix LED, light sensor, buzzer, sound sensor, PIR motion sensor, ultrasonic sensor, servo interface, UART, step motor interface, tilt sensor, IR sensor, touch sensor, temperature and humidity sensor, relay, matrix button, independent buttons, RFID module, switches, breadboard, Raspberry Pi, GPIO LED, a acrylic board, and microphone. Oh my. This is a beginner hacker paradise in a box. And of course, game controller.
Very cool. How did we not see that before? That is a very cool item.
I have no idea. I literally have no idea. And I have no problem in saying this. Okay. 6 years ago, I said, if you want to make money, go into security, endless money, endless opportunity, endless upgrades, endless promotion. It's still the case, but I'll tell you right now, 2019, if you're just beginning, learn Python. Python is the #1 artificial intelligence, machine learning, blah, 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 money, 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 money. Raspberry Pi is Python. Okay. You can get this device, learn all the sensors, all the inputs, learn all the Python you want, and then go have a career where your starting salary is anywhere from $140,000 to $180,000 a year, where only one out of every 3 months, 1 day out of 3 months, you have to go into the office, and you only have to go into the office for a eval, and the actual eval is not them evaluating you, it's you evaluating them, telling them if you're happy at your job, are you fulfilled with your job, kind of thing. Literally, starting salary $140,000. Python. It's what plants crave.
So Python, if you go to python.org, you don't even have to install anything. They have a tutorial. You can type the code, edit the code, and click run, and it just runs on their website. So if you want to muck around with Python, go to python.org.
Yep. I don't even know how long we've been going on, but I can't stop looking at this crow pie, Rich. Where can people catch up with you?
Well, as always, flyingrich.com is where all of my social media is aggravated.
Aggravated. Was that a Freudian slip there, Rich?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because I'm aggravated at Instagram because they keep changing how they output the information. So my pictures aren't showing up there for Instagram. It's just like a line of text, which I got to figure out a way to do something with. But yeah, flyingrich.com, you can find my YouTube channel there and any of my social media. And, hey, say hi, leave a comment.
Very cool, very cool. I want to thank everyone for coming out live. Charles, Rain, Chatter, Red, dual screen. If you don't know dual screen, podcast, thoroughly embedded in the indie game scene. They're starting a couple other podcasts here in the short term. Really good people, really nice people, really honest podcasters is what I'll say. And again, if you can come out live, we try to do this show Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can come join us at any time you want. We have a Discord server. We have a Mattermost server. We have an IRC. We have a YouTube chat. We have email at minipc. I want to say this right. Minipc at podnutz.com. You can email me directly at doortodoorgeek@gmail.com or mail at podnutz.com. Or you can just go to podnutz.com, click the link, and you can hit the contact form. Or you can send us a voicemail at 707-6podnut.com. Do not forget we have a Patreon. Patreon is the most direct way you can support us and have input into this show. Rich, I want to thank you guys for coming out. Brian, I hope everything's going well. I think he's really busy slammed this time of year, so I hope everything's going good, Brian. And I want to thank everyone for their support. I want to thank everyone for coming out, and I hope we will talk to everyone again before the end of the year for our ever exciting episode 101. Rich, I love you, man. I'll talk to you later, and we'll talk to everyone again real soon.
Alrighty, buddy. Be good.
Okay. Stop recording. Stop recording. Okay. I really don't want to go to work tomorrow. And I looked, when we are still streaming live, and I did look, Rich. I have. Did I close the window?
Yeah, I don't see anymore.
Dang it! Give me a second here. I didn't want to close the window. Huh. How long ago did I close the window? This makes no sense.
Just when you were closing it out, like you said, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna.
Well, I know,
how long we've been going for.
But so I just did Control Shift and W, which is supposed to undo closings, and it didn't. Or, you know, I closed it weird is what I'll say. So let me do this and say video and fix my white balance and say fix white balance and then say join hangout. And then, okay,
Dun, da, da, da.
Yeah. I looked at my leave at work. I almost panicked. I have 411 hours of leave. And I
like 30 hours.
And I thought the maximum was 400. So I was panicking, like, I'm going to have to take leave or else I'm not giving away my leave for free. Are you crazy?
Darn right.
And then I looked and I said, oh, nope, I'm sorry. The actual maximum amount of leave I can have is 600 hours.
Holy crap.
Well, Rich, I'll put it like this. I'm not properly paid.
Oof.
You know what I'm saying? I have to have something. You know, I have decent insurance. I'm not getting paid, so they might as well at least let me have lots of leave. Yeah, I had to use all of my personal leave, and that's all extinguished. I have unlimited sick leave, and then on my annual leave, it tops off at 600 hours. After 600, I have to start giving it back, which, of course, will never happen. Wow, there was too many links, Rich, to go through. Too many links.
Oh, yeah. There's still a lot of good stuff we missed out on.
I know. Well, you know, there's always next week, and hopefully Brian's okay.
Oh, what's up with Brian?
I don't know. I haven't heard from him in like 2 days.
Oh.
I'm hoping he's just busy. I hope it's just, you know, family's busy, time of year, wrapping gifts, shopping, blah, 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 blah.
So I got this camera. It's quote-unquote 4K. It looks, the indoor video I looked at, I would say it's like 1 or 2K worth of indoor resolution. But it comes with all sorts of goodies. Comes with like a whole box load of goodies. So you got an underwater case.
Oh, yeah.
$20, and if I got an underwater case that's kind of crappy, I mean, if I got an underwater case that works more than a few times, I'm pretty happy with it.
Right, exactly.
I would never consider using it as my primary camera because I hate the wide angle lens.
Mm.
You know, it's like 170-degree wide angle.
Right.
But, you know, as a B-roll camera or whatever, or a time-lapse camera, that might be pretty much fun.
Yeah.
Or when I go to an event and I forget to record content, I could just, like, you know, put it on my hat, you know.
Right.
Have the hat cam. Oh, boy, I didn't come home after work today, and I was talking to somebody about some software, you know, some extracurricular work. And I come home and it looks like the bird plucked some feathers out of him. It's like, dude, you got bald spots now. I thought he was over that.
Is that like a stress thing? Because,
you know, he's 27 years old. He only started doing this like a year ago. And I'm like, what would you be stressed about? And come here, come on up. And I don't know if it's, a loneliness stress thing or what. I got him like a UV light because I was hoping it was vitamin deficiency from the UV, and that would make him better. But and I thought it was doing better.
Well, without saying dumb, that's one of the things, he could talk, you would know. He can't talk, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just wants my attention.
Well,
Cause
I guarantee you he wants that.
and maybe he's just too crazy spoiled because I give him too much attention.
I don't know if you can be too spoiled. I mean, I'm sure he's spoiled. Don't get me wrong.
No, I mean spoiled that, like, if I'm not petting him and stuff like that, he's not happy.
Right. Wow, I'm really orange.
Wow.
That's what happens when I don't properly white balance.
Is that the Donald Trump look?
I don't know what it is. No, I don't think he was even. He wasn't close to that orange. This is a crazy orange.
Yeah.
And it was only his hair. I mean, his skin was a little orange. It was his hair. It was the difference between his skin and his hair that was the thing. It wasn't his one or the other.
So, Jim Brewer. You said Jim from PA.
Jim Brewer.
Yeah, he said he listens. I guess he subs my YouTube videos, and he sent me an email.
Oh, cool. Okay, badang badang. Yeah, it's good to see you, Mitch. I haven't heard from Mitch in the YouTube chat. I haven't heard from Mitch in at least 4 or 5 months, man. At least 4 or 5 months. Dyson compression. -18. 1, 1. Oh, the joy of editing audio. Oh, wait, it's not. Nikon is stopping their authorized repair centers. I didn't know they had authorized repair centers.
Yeah, Nikon is doing another thing. They're getting out of rifle scopes. So they're like fire sailing, clearancing all of their scopes, which there's some good stuff out there. Anyhow, Dora, I'm going to drop off. I don't know if they're still on the Linux Link Tech show, but I wanted to tell them what I thought of the camera.
Well, go ahead. Check it out.
All righty, buddy.
All right, man.
Catch you later. Good talking with you.
Hey, Mitch. Yeah, 80 pounds since March. That is faster than me, I'll say, because I came to almost 100 pounds, and it was just over a year. And I will say, more than a little bit of the time, I was really hungry. But, it was for the best. It was definitely for the best. Say, my doctor, actually, after I first lost all the weight, I went into the doctor's office. I never saw him smile, but he literally smiled when I walked in the room, which told me, I was doing something right. Because, he kind of never smiles. So I guess that was good. And then, but now they have me on steroids because of my pneumonia. And I believe I already put on 10 pounds.
No, I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife's mad at me because I'm fat. If I lost, I would love to lose like another 5 to 7 pounds. And then I'd be like mid to low 170. But my wife's a skinny nothing, so she was like, as hard as I work to be down like 15 pounds from last year, and maintain it. She's still not happy.
Well, if anybody's worrying about a quantity of weight less than 10 pounds,
Yep, yep.
there's no reason to worry about that little bit of weight.
Oh no, I mean that's like divorce material, that 7 pounds. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I would stab her in her throat when she was sleeping.
She's like, oh, I saw you sit down at that party. Your belly was hanging over your belly. I'm like, I don't know what she saw, but that did not happen.
It doesn't matter. Perspective is reality. And you ain't going to tell her. It's like people who say they saw UFOs, Rich.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell them that they're wrong?
Right, right.
Do you think they're wrong?
Dude, I see UFOs all the time as a pilot, but usually I identify them as aircraft.
I see UFOs all the time. They're called floaters.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, everything is an unidentified aircraft until you identify it.
Exactly. But of course, that's commonsensical talk there. How dare you?
Okay, so this camera came with 2 batteries. The battery that was in the camera was near dead. The battery that wasn't in the camera was almost in the same boat. The battery that wasn't in the camera charged up fully, and then this battery is still charging, which kind of worries me. Unless maybe I didn't push the battery in the right place.
Gotcha. I don't know.
Okay, now I unplugged it and plugged it, and it's green. Well, okay then.
Green is good.
Yes, green is good.
Yeah. Okay, this is going to take like a minute. I'm going to run upstairs real quick, just verify the kids are in bed, and I'll be right back down. And yes, we are still streaming live.
Does that mean I can talk and do whatever I want?
I cannot confirm or deny such things. I'll be back.
Okay, so this camera will do 4K at 24, 2K at 30, or 1080 at 60.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, and I'll say to Charles in the YouTube, I don't believe Rich is on the Discord server. Okay, why did that just do that? Okay, so I'm going to, for giggles, call that, and call that. Still here, Rich? I see you in the Hangouts. Come over to the mini.
Okay, I think I have to push the left shift key. Yeah, the right shift key isn't the key.
Yeah, I always make it my right control key just because I never touch my right control key. Ever. Okay, I believe it's that one. And I believe it's that one. I will say the other reason why we shouldn't wait a month to do a show is because then the shows become long. And editing a long show is a pain in the butt.
I hear you.
So let me come here. Put that.
Did I tell you I had dinner with Joel last night?
No. So, I'm sorry. And I'm terrified to ask how much he ate because, you know.
Well, oh, okay, yeah, I talked to Brad Alexander about that. And look, for a guy who, I know he was going to the gym for a while, but I don't know how regularly he's going to the gym. And, I think as better than any of us, or more than most of us, is it doesn't really matter how much you exercise. It matters how much you eat is the big deal.
Well, the FDA did a study of, I want to say it was over 2,000 people, and then Nexus, which is the UK equivalent of the FDA, did a study of, I want to say 20,000 people. Exercising 2 to 3 times a week at most contributed to 3 to 4 pounds of weight loss a year. So it's like, you don't work out to lose weight. You work out to improve your cardiovascular. You work out to change your fat to muscle ratio.
Right.
You work out for that. You don't work out to lose weight.
When I do 20 minutes on the elliptical at a heart rate of 135 beats per minute, and I see that I burned, 100 calories, I'm like, oh, that's half a Snickers bar.
Right. Well, and I try to explain to some people that, all those numbers, they're not actually accurate. They're all approximations. When I eat a Snickers versus you eat a Snickers versus Joel eat a Snickers, we each individually digest it differently, and it each has its own unique impact on each of us. Where, to me, it might equate to, let's say, 100 calories. To you, it really might only equate to 80 calories, and to Joel, it might be 180 calories. It all depends on how our unique physiology reacts to those compounds. It's like, you cannot take, if you walk on a treadmill and it says you burned X number of calories, no, you didn't. If you believe you did, I don't know what to tell you, but that's just an approximation. It's not, nothing about it is actually accurate. It's one of those niceties to know those kinds of numbers, but, they're not like real. That's actually good. I think these levels actually look good, Rich. So, save track. Well, thankfully, it was less than an hour and a half. Whenever it's under an hour and a half, I know it's going to not be horribly long to convert. And yeah, Mitch, I can't believe Mitch lost a hell of a lot of weight, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, congratulations to you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Exercising is great for your heart, is my logic. Great for your heart, great for your cardiovascular kind of thing. And it's just one of those things. It's like, to me, without sounding dumb, it's a great time to, quote unquote, meditate, isolate, concentrate, plan, organize kind of thing, because really that's all you can do. It's like, dare I say, it's like riding a motorcycle. When you ride a motorcycle, you should not be listening to a radio. You should not be playing with your phone. You should not be reading anything. You should be hyper focused on the road, which allows for like some Zen time.
I hear you.
Yeah, 46 to 36 waist. I want to say I was at the most, I was at 48 waist. Honestly, now I want to say I'm around 34.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm a short fella too. You got to remember that. But yeah, I do believe the time of my life where I had the most mental, I don't want to say happiness, the least amount of mental depression was when I had my motorcycle and I would just ride. Not in the city, of course, but when I would just ride in the countryside, because I didn't have time to think about anything. I just looked out for deers and dogs and dips in the road.
Yep.
And see, that's why I'm jealous with you and flying a plane, because to me that's the same kind of experience.
Well, look, I don't know when the last time was I flew, just because I don't have the money. Which hopefully is changing.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I will say, Rich, in the last, I'll say month. It's probably a little bit more than a month. I've been happy because I've been able to take part. I've been the reason we've been able to deprecate or decommission, whatever word you want to use, more than 40 Windows 2008 servers in my job, because I've been able to move applications, services, databases, and tasks off of old servers onto new servers.
Yeah, I don't deal with that, but I'm aware of is it 2008 that it's no longer supported?
I believe it's getting its last patch, January 15th.
Yeah, because I know we have I'm pretty sure it's 2008. We got a big move to get off of that we're retiring. And believe it or not, there's some apps that are apparently don't work on anything else.
Oh, yeah. So, we have a couple of them, yeah. And I just want to take the people who purchase those apps and just punch them right in their face, because what's wrong with you? Why would you buy such an application? At least if it's an internally developed application, I can turn to the people and say, I don't care. Get it running on .NET, blah, blah, blah. Get it running on blah, blah, because that's your job. But it's external apps. I got to turn to procurement and say, spend some money. No. Spend some money. No, I'm sorry, but you have to spend some money, because they don't like doing that. Relocating to Delaware. Honestly, I think I heard that, Mitch. So the dumb question is, Mitch, is will you be moving south? Because I know you were thinking about moving south when that you retired. I have I want to say 6 years left where I'm at, and then I can retire is the logic. And trust me, the first day I can retire, I will retire. I will find something else to do, anything else to do.
Jordan, not like I'm trying to shoot my mouth off, but let's see, where's my house here? My house, if Zillow is to believed to be correct, is worth $595,000, which I'm like dumbfounded by. I remember as a kid, you would talk about wealthy people. It's like they live in a $250,000 house. Like, how outrageous is that? Again, a $250,000 house back then would probably be significantly more than what my house is. I don't hear you if you're speaking to me.
Sorry. The old adage was you would take a loaf of bread and say how much was a loaf of bread now versus then. But economists now come to an agreement. Yeah, you really can't use that as a proper determining factor over time because other things change. But I will say, when I was a kid, the lady who bought the house, 4 houses down from my dad, my mom and dad, bought the house for literally $4,000 in
Right?
1960.
Right.
My dad can sell his house now for over $180,000. So,
Well, so
time.
here's the whole thing. I mean, I do have the house in New York, which isn't
Ah,
paid for. It isn't paid off.
doesn't matter as long as you have some
Uh,
investment in it.
yeah, I have equity in the house in New York. So if you look at like, hey, I have a $600,000 house, unless you're moving into an RV or a mobile home park or something like that, it really doesn't mean anything. If you plan on living in another house somewhere else, you're going to be spending a similar amount because if you're going to stay in the same geographic area, all of the homes' values rise and fall at the same rate.
Well, yeah, the housing market, I don't want to say it's a game because I don't want to say simplifying it, but that's like almost insulting it. Um,
Oh no! All right, so
it's
here's a
like
house
timing.
listed for 619 on Zillow, and I don't know if they're on 100 acres of property, but it's a 2,200 square foot house. It looks like it's okay, but I would never pay 619 for it.
Well, you got to remember that that's like the eBay thing. Just because somebody is selling something for X amount on eBay doesn't mean they're getting that much.
Um,
They can advertise it as being anything they want, but unless it's actually going through a sale, it doesn't matter. That's like me telling an advertiser, "Oh, well, ads on my show cost $2 billion a shot." That doesn't mean they cost $2 billion a shot. That just means I'm trying to get it.
okay, so it's on 2.5 acres. It has like an open barn. It's not even a barn. It's, for your horses. It has
Mm.
covered horse stalls, basically. Um, I like the master bath shower because it has two heads, but we're not talking anything I'd pay nearly that money for.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I really question Zillow, like the numbers that it's putting on the value of my property in New York. I could be accurate. I would think my property is worth more. And again, I'm a little shocked when it comes up with a comparable. Like the house I just saw for. Hmm.
Well, I mean, I'll just say, don't forget the old adage, which I truly believe is actually accurate. In a negotiation of a contract, no matter what, the only time it's fair is when both people are dis dissatisfied.
Right. I got you. Now, the same developer built like six houses on my block, and the other similar houses are similarly priced. There's one house I thought it was bigger than my house across the street. Yeah, I don't know what they. It's 2,800 square feet, which is smaller than my house. Yeah, but it looks bigger. Oh, you know what it is? They have the
Hmm.
three-car garage.
Uh, I will say this: I would love to be able to use my garage as a garage.
Yeah, we have a two-car garage. In my half, I have stuff. Like,
Yeah.
but in my half isn't so bad with stuff that I can't like in 20 minutes clean it out and pull my car in case there's an impending doom storm. But yeah.
Yeah, I can't fit nothing in my garage except more crap, which is not good. I know it ain't good. And I hate to say it like this, partially because I know no matter how much I clean it up, it's not going to be my space.
Nah, yeah. That's like my wife parks in the garage. I'm like, why do you get to park in the garage?
Exactly.
If we're equal and it's all 50-50 and blah, blah, blah. Like,
right. Yeah, I would say, and then without that, I'm dumb, Rich, because now I don't know, I'm very sorry if I'm triggering you by saying this, but like the old arcade cabinets, there's now a whole bunch of different ones you can buy. Some of them are at Walmart, and if you're patient, you can literally buy like near a full size cabinet for like less than $200, and
no
basically
way.
modify it and tweak it, and make it into whatever system you want for like
I
less than
remember
another $100.
there was a time when you could buy these places, that had the used asteroids games. You get them like $50.
Yep. Well, those days are long gone. I'll say that, because people realized that there was some intrinsic value to those old systems, and then they started charging insane amounts for those old systems.
Serious?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's
if
like
they're in
Porsche
good condition.
914s. Porsche 914s, you almost couldn't give away like
Right.
15 years ago. Now I'm seeing like the cheapest running Porsche 914 is like $16,000.
Right. Yeah, same kind of thing. To where if I could go in my garage, clean it up, and stack, 6 or 7 arcade cabinets in there and make it my space, oh, that thing would be cleaned up in a week. But I know I can't do that. So, why would I? Because there's more than a couple because like now, without saying dumb, o-droid H1 with some off the shelf quote unquote hardware with a normal screen I could get any place. I could literally have a ridiculously better than authentic arcade experience in my garage with 10 arcade machines for easily less than $2,000. Easily less than $2,000. But then, of course, I would never get out of my garage.
All right, buddy, I think I need to get going.
All right, I'll almost have this done and published.
You got our long pause edited out?
I don't know. Do I?
Don't you do some sort of filter that removes all silence?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm supposed to, at least. We'll see, I guess. Okay. I thought I did a truncate sound. I don't know. I'll have to check that out. Okay, so first, let me come back to here. Come back to here. Close that. Close that. Go here. Push that back here. Let me load the virtual box back up to make sure. Take it easy, Charles. Yeah, there is one arcade, in air quotes, physically close to me. It's a good 30 minutes away. But I believe right now in Maryland, classic arcades, there's only 2 true classic arcades with more than like 5 machines in them. And they're both just junky, old, musky, where, not every button works on every device kind of thing. Output. See, oh man, now I'm worrying if I did a truncate silence. Rich had to say something. Take it easy, Mitch, man. Always good to see you, man. Okay, so let me go downloads. Let me come back here. Public audio 100 open with Audacity, and it should be fairly obvious. I'll say that. It should be fairly obvious if I removed silence. Truncated silence is the word. Truncated silence. I most certainly did it. So let's highlight, truncate silence, leave it as the default, never change it, because why would I? And it goes from 1 hour and 20 minutes and 22 seconds down to 1 hour, 9 minutes. Well, if you guys listen to this episode, and it's messed up, well, I think we know what happened.
Truncate silence, is that a function in Audacity?
Yeah. Yep, I'm not using this. I'm going to start over because I don't trust that. I'm going to go back because every time I try to circumvent the workflow and cut corners, I'm always really sorry. And then I always pay the price because I have to redo it anyway. So let's go back in the VirtualBox and we're going to re-export the file. So I didn't change. Luckily, I did not delete any of the input files. So share screen, badang, come here, compute file, home, import. There they are right there. This one was garbage. Come over here, Quazzle, file recent, mini. All the files should be there. Yep. Then we're going to come here and say track, export audio, mini wave. So I'm going to re-export the wave file. That's what I forgot to do. I forgot to do that step there. Because after the exportation of the wave file, before I come over here and launch the lame encoder, I'm supposed.
If you were talking to me, you stopped.
Sorry, clicking the buttons. Public audio right there. Yep. Podnutz. Outgoing here. Now it's got to finish and wait for this export to go, which it was less than an hour and a half, but still should be at least more than like 5 or 6 minutes. Really good to hear from Mitch, Charles, Mellon, Red. I tell you, we're actually getting people to come out live now, Rich, where I don't know if you noticed cool. There, for like a while, nobody was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it. So I edited the spreadsheet, so everything we didn't mention is still like applicable for the next episode, starting with the Banana Pi Showcase quad core. Raspberry Pi might not need a fan. The Picago, which I really hate talking about crowdfunding stuff, but the Picago 7-inch was one of those things that definitely caught my attention, but if I remember, it was too much money. No, starting at $269, that ain't bad for a 7-inch laptop. Of course, if you're okay with using a 7-inch laptop.
Yeah, that's kind of small.
Yeah, it's a little small. Yeah. I to be honest, that's why I like the idea of the Pine tab. I almost don't care how big the screen is. I care how big the keyboard is. And if, because I can always zoom in on a screen and make it work. And I will say, Rich, I've started to use VS Codium, Codium, which is a open version of VS Code.
And what's VS Code do? Is that an encoder?
No. VS Code is the quote unquote open version of Visual Studio Code.
Oh.
Put out by Microsoft, available freely to download on GitHub.
And what language are you using?
I hate to say it, I'm using anything and everything to get by, from PowerShell to VB.NET, C#, HTML, JavaScript, CSS.
How is it as a JavaScript IDE?
Well, if you're using a framework, I'll just put it like this. Some of the things, it surprisingly knows what I'm going to type next.
Mm-hmm.
IntelliSense is what I learned it's called. IntelliSense in it is, I don't want to say second to none. I've never seen anything actually be accurate like it, even with JavaScript. We're using, on one project, we were using Bootstrap, but on the other one, I wanted to use React. And I was shocked with React how, after adding the library, it knew, when I started to type things, it was actually referencing the React functions, just like they were native functions. Whew, man. Okay, truncate silence about halfway. Oh, there you go. See, I always forget that. I was getting ready to say it's halfway done, but I forgot. It only ever has to go halfway. It never goes full. Outgoing. Wave. Bading. Yes. Okay, so this should take another 2 or 3 minutes. That ain't bad. So 11, and it's virtually done. That ain't bad at all. Did you see the one WebOS link that that I put in the notes?
No.
Just when you think WebOS is dead, line 1065. WebOS OSE Open Source Edition, optimized for Raspberry Pi 3.
1065, or is that another link?
Oh, I'm sorry, 1085. I'm blind. So here's the gimmick. I personally believe there's enough, in air quotes, old Raspberry Pi 3s in people's houses that if enough people download this thing and start playing with it, it actually really, really, really could become popular. Because people loved WebOS back in the day.
Firmware over the air.
Yeah, I didn't know LG owned WebOS or WebOS Open Source Edition. That was news to me.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was Palm, right?
Yeah. That's what I thought. The company with the drunks in Canada. RCS, RSE, RIM.
You're thinking RIM, yeah.
RIM is Palm.
Really? I thought Palm got purchased by HP.
Research in Motion, I thought, was Palm.
No. Yeah, HP bought Palm for 1 billion.
Well, that wasn't a smart move, now was it?
2010.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. As much as I like make fun of HP, and I really don't like HP, HP like open source stuff really is helpful to a lot of people. You know what I mean? It really does help a lot. It really has made a lot of things better in the open source world. It's just so easy to make fun of them because they mess up so often.
Well, what was her face that was running for president was president of HP?
Yeah, I know.
Carla Fiorina?
I can't remember her name, but I just know I remember thinking, excuse me? What? You think you're going to be successful? You weren't really that successful at HP.
I forget what it is. Bloomberg, in his first month, has spent more than all of the other candidates.
Every other Democrat combined since the end of the last presidential election, yes. And that's because he can. He's Bloomberg. He's like, you know, kind of rich. He can afford it. You know, I just love disruption. I just have no problem saying that, Rich. I just love this
and
disruption.
Still nobody knows who Bloomberg is.
I don't even know what he made his money in. And I honestly think that I'm at least moderately educated on this stuff.
I think it was something to do with news or market reporting. That's it. It was something. His original product was something with financial markets and like data exchange, and that I think that was his first product. I haven't looked at Wikipedia, so I would, but I think that's what it was.
Well, I know in the news market, they're still popular, is what I'll say. But it's like when I listen to their news, it's like they're not telling me anything like groundbreaking, you know. So they're talking to this guy who made this thing, who thinks that thing, okay, great. And that's about it. Yeah, it's like everything involving the stock market, it's speculation, it's feelings. If it was facts and math, there would be a perfect algorithm somebody could use to just step in the arena, become stinking rich. But it's all like speculation and how do you feel about this company? It's not like fact-based.
Do you know of like an open source PHP live chat product?
Open source PHP
that I could do on an e-commerce site.
Live chat. Oh, I guarantee you there's some out there. I don't know any off the top of my head right now, but I guarantee you.
Chat, open source version?
Give me a couple seconds here. Okay. Publish. I had to go through the final check before I publish. And I didn't put the damn Discord. Damn, I didn't put two. Oh, man. Friggin'. Okay, hold on. So what you're looking for is a PHP chat. And it's basically agnostic. Because you don't want to be locked in. Live chat or web chat. I'm trying to think what I would call it. Okay, let's go like this. Let's say alternative 2, which is my number one go-to website. Okay. So Talk-2, Help Cube. I've heard of that one before. Graham Chat. Yeah. So what I'll say is in the YouTube chat. I think this would be a good jumping off point to find people. Yeah, because the gimmick is
Bitnami.com and was looking at something.
Well, the gimmick is you don't just want a PHP chat. You want a PHP management interface where users can log in, monitor there's users on my server, and then have that service
like tech support type chat.
Right. And then like pop up in the bottom corner, do you need help? Do you want to chat?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I know what you're talking about. Talk to TAWK.TO. I will say it's one that I've know people have used in the past. Let me think. This was another one I think I heard of. Yeah. Because the gimmick is you want to talk to quote unquote customers. And then Rain in the chat is saying K-chat. I see K-char select. Don't see it in here. Oof. Go to click on kchat.kepler.com. Your connection is not private. Yeah, this is for private messaging. Yeah. All right, I'm going to kill the live stream here. Thank you guys for coming out.
All right, buddy. Yeah, it's past my bedtime.
Yeah. I'll keep looking around, see what I can find for you.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
All right, man. Take it easy, y'all.